Greetings and welcome back to the No Channel. This is Bernadette Johnson. I'm also known as Keziah or Kizzy. And today I'm coming to you with another video titled The Proof is in Our Names. African Americans at Mars Bluff, South Carolina, What Their Names Reveal. In this video, I'm going to be discussing some information that I discovered in the book that you see on the screen titled African Americans at Mars Bluff, South Carolina, written by Amelia Wallace Vernon. And those who may not know me, I'm from South Carolina. I currently live in South Carolina. In this Mars Bluff region, while I didn't grow up in Mars Bluff, I currently live in the city where this region is located. And I'll go into more detail about this Mars Bluff region in just a second. But anyway, this is where I live and also where I work. And in this book talks about the African Americans who lived in this region during the time of slavery and post-slavery. In this Mars Bluff region, there were several plantations were in this Mars Bluff region. And this book talks about the African Americans who were slaves and those who continued to live on these plantations post-slavery. And it is a very, very interesting book. See, this has this video here. It has a message, has a special place with me because this is about my local history and how I found proof, which I'll go into later. You know what I mean by the proof is in our names in this video. And it's just it's special when you find the proof, when you find the connections, and when you find what the names reveal in your local history. And so now, like the author Amelia Wallace Vernon, Mrs. Amelia Wallace Vernon, her family actually owned a plantation in this Mars Bluff region called the Gregg Plantation. And believe it or not, I actually work on the very place that was once the Gregg Plantation. It is now a university. I won't give the name of the university, but all you got to do is do a little research. You'll find out the name of that university. But the university where I work was a plantation. And the people that she talks about in this book, some of them lived on this plantation. She mentions several plantations, but the particular one, Gregg Plantation, that's where I actually work. But anyway, it's a very interesting read for those who are in South Carolina and those who live in this region. This would be an excellent read for you. Now, this book came out over 2 decades ago. It was published in 1995, so it's been out for decades. And I'm just now getting around to read the book. But hey, better late than never. And so I am so happy that I've read the book because some of the information I came across in the book was very interesting, and that's why I'm going to show you in this presentation. So now this Mars Bluff region is located in this area of South Carolina, and it's actually an unincorporated community in Florence County, South Carolina. I live in Florence County, and that's where Mars Bluff is. Now, and some of you might have heard of PD. That's a certain region in South Carolina, and the PD region is somewhere, it comprises of several counties, and the PD region is generally like this area here. This is the PD region, and where the red dot is, that's where Mars Bluff is located. So this is Florence County. It's located within Florence County. It's not an actual city or a town. It's just an unincorporated community. And actually, some of you might already know this, but this Mars Bluff is famous because a bomb accidentally dropped in this region. And there is actually a historical marker that shows where the bomb landed. And you can read this right here, where it actually landed in 1958. And there you can visit the site. It has an atomic bomb crater site, and it's all even a road named after it called Crater Road. So Mars Bluff, it actually has a history where, this atomic bomb accident happened. Okay, so, and as far as this book, if you're interested in purchasing this book, African Americans at Mars Bluff, South Carolina, it's available for purchase on Amazon. So now what we're going to go into now is I just want to read a little passage from the book. And just to show you how names can give clues, names can lead you to make connections, cultural connections. And those of you who follow my YouTube channel, I think you know what I'm getting at and where I'm going with this. Those of you who are lost, who don't know, hang on. You'll come to know. You'll find out. You'll find out when you'll learn where I'm getting at in this. Okay, now this little passage is on page 165 of this book. And now this talks about a family who grew up on who lived on. This is the Ellison family who lived on one of the plantations that's mentioned in this book. And it's the Gregg plantation. And I'll go into, actually, before I go into that, one interesting thing about this book, it really talks about how the African Americans who were slaves and those the farmer slaves, they actually grew rice in this Mars Bluff region. And it came as a surprise to the author, Miss Amelia Vernon, because, see, we always knew that rice was grown in the low country. The low country region, those of you who are not familiar with South Carolina, let me go back. The low country is like the southern area of the state of South Carolina, like the Charleston. I'm sure you know or heard about Charleston, Hilton Head, those southern regions. Because it wasn't a totally different climate, but it was closer to tropical. It wasn't a tropical climate, but it was a little closer to a tropical, more moist climate than the northern region of South Carolina. Now South Carolina is a subtropical, has a subtropical climate, but the low country, it's even, closer, a little closer to that tropical, region, and also marshy-like region. So yes, it was no surprise. It was well-known fact that rice was grown in the low country area. But it came as a surprise to learn that that rice was also grown in this Mars Bluff region. And there was proof. She interviewed the families, and she also researched, other, historians' work, and she found out that rice was actually grown in this Mars Bluff region. And believe it or not, the place where I actually work on a that place that used to be a rice field. So when I found out about that, I was very intrigued. And I learned about that attending a presentation maybe a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago. I attended a presentation. I found out the very place where I worked was once a rice field. So, when you delve into history can be very interesting, and it can be very, intriguing as well. And it inspire you to do more digging. But I just wanted to share that right quick because the book really delved into the the cultivation of the rice in this region, because it was, it was unknown. A lot of us did not know that rice was grown in the PD region, in the Mars Bluff region. Okay, so now let's continue. So now the passage that I want to read is on page 165. And it talks about the Ellison family. And the Ellison family, they lived on the Gregg plantation, which is where I work now. And it reads, A daughter of the Ellisons was named Dara, and I have Dara underlined for a reason. All the names that I have underlined is for a reason. I'm going to delve into those names. Okay, a daughter of the Ellisons was named Dara. Turner, Lorenzo D. Turner, author of Africanism in the Gullah dialect. Turner gave Dara as a girl's name used by the Yoruba people of southern Nigeria. It means beautiful. Make note of this. Beautiful, to perform feats, or habitual. Now, I'm sure you all heard of the Yoruba people. And of course, you read, American history, the transatlantic slave trade, and you read about the different tribes and African tribes and peoples that the slaves who were brought from Africa, where they hailed from. And of course, Yoruba is a major tribe that a lot of our people hail from. So it doesn't come as a surprise that this author made a connection to those who lived on this region that was once a great plantation. It's no surprise that she linked the name to Yoruba, because a lot of us hail from the Yoruba people. Because if you watched one of my videos I did some years ago, where I delved into my father's ancestral lineage, and I traced it possibly back to the tribe of Manasseh. And actually Yoruba showed up in my father's DNA also. Okay, I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so like I said, make note of the highlighted names, because we're going to go into those later. So getting back to the Yoruba. So it's a little, jump the slide. Okay. The Yoruba. Of course, I just want to show you just a quick little, a description, definition in Wikipedia of the Yoruba people. And most of you know that Yoruba people are in, West African ethnic group who inhabit parts of Nigeria, Benin, and Togo. And, they constitute over more than 50 million people in Africa. So I just wanted to, just to show you just a quick little snippet of the Yoruba people. And of course, they're called the Yoruba people, and in their language, they speak the Yoruba language and all of that. Okay. And also too, I wanted to mention when I said that when I was doing some research on my father's ancestral line, and Yoruba came up, where Yoruba is also their sources, not necessarily the mainstream sources, actually link Yoruba to the tribe of Ephraim. And Ephraim is one of the 12 Israelite tribes. Ephraim was the second born son of Joseph. And like I said, that I linked my father's ancestral lineage with it's a strong possibility that he was, connected to the Manasseh. And Manasseh is Joseph's firstborn son. And I said that Yoruba showed up in my daddy's ancestry. It makes sense, because Manasseh and Ephraim, which many say is the Yoruba people, they were brothers, full brothers. They had the same mother and they had the same father. So it would make sense for Yoruba to show up in my daddy's lineage if his lineage is traced back to Manasseh. So I just wanted to mention that right quick. So the Yoruba, many sources trace Yoruba people to the tribe of Ephraim, which is one of the 12 tribes. All right, let's continue. So now this is a little quote from a journal that I found while I was Googling information on Yoruba and linking it and trying to link it to the Ephraim, the tribe of Ephraim. And this is actually a scholarly article written by Dirk, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing the first name, Lange. And this article was written in 2011. And the title of it is The Origin of the Yoruba and the Lost Tribes of Israel. And that's where you can find it. You can just do a Google search for this article and it'll come up. And this was written by, someone who is scholarly, one who research and is an expert in their field. And I'm just going to read this quote. This is what it says. This is on 583 of this article here. Mention instead of Quarion/Jacob in some Yoruba accounts of creation, the name Yoruba itself is, however, more likely to have been derived from the name of Jeroboam, designating the founder of the northern Israelite kingdom. And those of you who are familiar with the scriptures, you can read about Jeroboam in the book of Kings. And he was the first king of the northern tribes. You can see after Solomon left the scene, Israel split. All before it was one kingdom. But after Solomon left the scene, after Solomon died, Israel split into two kingdoms. You had the southern kingdom, which was Judah and maybe parts of Benjamin. And then the rest you had the northern, which was the other tribes, like the 10 tribes. They were northern Israel. And Jeroboam was the first king of the northern Israelite kingdom. And I said previously that sources, not mainstream, but sources link Yoruba to the tribe of Ephraim. And I have Jeroboam underlined for a reason. So if Jeroboam is of the northern Israelite kingdom, and Ephraim is also one of the northern tribes, one of the 10 northern tribes, is it possible we can connect Jeroboam to Yoruba, and Jeroboam, which is Yoruba, which is associated with the tribe of Ephraim? Let's see. Let's go to the next slide. Now this is a quote from 1 Kings, a passage from 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 26. Now this talks about Jeroboam. Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephraimite of Zerata. So it's been established. Jeroboam was an Ephraimite who was Solomon's servant. So he used to be Solomon's servant, and whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow woman. Even he lifted up his hand against the king. So he ended up, rebelling against Solomon. And then after Solomon, left the scene, after he died, Jeroboam became the king. He split from, Judah, and he started his, his own kingdom, his own kingship. So yes, it's been established that Jeroboam is from the tribe of Ephraim. Okay, so now let's go to Strong's Concordance. And let's look up this name, Jeroboam. Now, of course, when you read the English translations of the Bible, it gives the Jeroboam, it's the J sound. But the actual Hebrew pronunciation and the Hebrew spelling, it gives it a Y. It's Yeroboam in Hebrew, in Strong's Concordance 3379. And this is the way how it's, pronounced. Yeroboam, Yeroboam, Yeroboam. But these, I just find it interesting that these English translations, why do they find it necessary to change the Y to a J? And J is one of the newest, if not the newest, alphabet in the letter in the English alphabet. Wow, yeah, a lot of these names, like Jeremiah, the pronunciation in Hebrew is in the spelling Jeremiah. They change a lot of these Y names to J. And I'm about to suspect, was this some kind of conspiracy to erase the names of our, erase the African linguistic and phonetic connection, you know, because when you see Jeroboam, you actually can see Yoruba, the tribe of Yoruba, the Yoruba people. You see it. But when it's spelled in the English way with the J, you don't see it. Yes, it was conspiracy. It was a conspiracy to distance and to erase that African connection. So when you read the Bible, you don't see the similarities. So now I'm sure those of you who were lost, maybe you see where I'm getting at now. Okay, so yes, I I really do believe, strongly believe it was conspiracy. Okay, so now let's go back to the passage in the book, The African Americans at Mars Bluff, South Carolina. Now I also underlined Dara and Dara here. Now, it says that the Ellisons, this family that lived on this on the Great Plantation, they had a daughter named Dara. And that name Dara means beautiful, to perform feats or habitual. Now, is there a word in the Hebrew language that's similar to Dara? When I saw Dara, I said, wait a minute. This is familiar here. Dara. This sounds very familiar because there are several sisters that are in, the same faith that I'm in, Israelite and Israelite way. They have a name similar to this, Hadaria. I was like, wait a minute. There may be some connection here. So I went to Strong's and I typed in beautiful. And there were different, words for beautiful. Okay, let me get to the slide here. This computer wanted to get stuck. Okay, while it's trying to get to the next slide, I just want to say I went to the Strong's and I typed in beautiful. And I want to see what, yes, here it is. What words, Hebrew words, the Hebrew words for beauty. Now, one that I knew right off was Yafa. But I was like, there are other words too. Okay. All right. And sure enough, Hadara in Strong's 1927. And what does Hadara means? It means splendor, majesty, beauty, decoration, beauty, honor. And the name Hadara, means Yah's glory, Yah's adornment, which all pertains to beauty. So it adds up. It all makes sense. I made that connection. It says that Dara was a name used by the Yoruba people. Yoruba sources trace Yoruba to the tribe of Ephraim. Ephraim was one of the 12 tribes of Israel. That's the connection. And what's more touching is this is local history. This is about local people whose descendants that I probably see every day and possibly could be distantly related to myself because I grew up in the next county over. So who's to say that I had some ancestors who were on these plantations at one time? So it hits different when you make a connection to to the local people. And I just thought I would share this, how I made that Israelite connection. Dara, a Yoruba name. And Yoruba is connected to the tribe of Ephraim. Ephraim is one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Dara means beautiful, and which is actually a Hebrew word. So I just want to say hallelujah. And I just thought when I came across this, I just felt inspired to share it with you all. And I just hope you all got something out of it. And I hope you all were blessed. And hopefully, I inspired you to delve into some of your local history. And if you do, please share it with me. So that's my message that I have for this evening, and I hope you all enjoyed it and continue to be blessed, and like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And also please leave a comment to give me some feedback. So until next time, be blessed.